There is an agenda underway. It is something that many of us have feared, yet few have welcomed it. So I want to ask you all a great question. How many of you are fond of the idea of the government tracking you? And I'm not talking about just tracking your location, but your emotions. How many of you like the idea of microchip implants and RFID scanning? And see, it's not really the technology itself, but the agenda behind it. And the main problem people have with this is the loss of privacy and freedom. Think about this. These types of technologies we heard about years and years ago. The technology that is available to the public, that's for the public. How advanced do you think this technology is in the private sector, in the military? We live in an age of quantum computing, artificially intelligent programming, mobile and wireless technology, and we have only experienced a taste of what these tech companies have in store for us. So how about we take a look at how far we have come with technology, how far we have come with microchip implants, and just how deep we are in the system of the beast. So, before we get into this, if you haven't heard already, Apple and Google are coming together to build and release a new app, the purpose of which is to track the virus. It will be voluntary at first until it gets to a point where you can opt out. And what it will do is, if you are tested positive for this virus and your information is in this app, anyone who also has this app will be alerted when you are in close proximity to them. I'm guessing you can all imagine the issues arising as a result from this programming. You know what they have? Tracking for college students through classroom apps so that the professor knows who's in class and who is not. Professional sports organizations have tracking for their players. They've been tracking animals, tracking objects, mobile devices, laptops, totes, pallets, people. RFID, GPS, geofencing, ultrasonic and audible tracking through apps. Now, if you don't know what that is, let me tell you. Some years ago, there were quite a few companies that were engaged in developing mobile apps that could send out sound waves that cannot be heard by the human ear. Ultrasonic waves, something above 18 kilohertz. So the device sends out this frequency that can now be picked up by other device microphones in proximity that are listening. The sounds that the app puts out has data embedded into it. Not through Wi-Fi, mind you, through sounds that the app puts out. And this beacon can now create connections with other devices around you, like a smart TV. It can allow advertisers to create a profile on you, whether you are online or not. It will connect to your friends and family's devices, and yes, it can pinpoint your exact location. Even if you're in a store, it knows exactly where you are inside the store. This is a mobile app, folks. This is what they can do with just a single mobile app. The same technology can be used to identify users of the Tor network. Think about that. And the thing is, it's old technology. It's old. And even though all that sounds creepily invading, in the right hands, for those of you who are tech savvy, The tech itself could become useful to you. Just keep that in mind. Cell phones, with all the apps, and Google, even if you turn off your location, with Google, you have to go into settings and deactivate web and app activity, and then turn off your location history. Using Google Maps stores your location history. If you access your Instagram or an app like it, it has location tracking you have to turn off. And phones today, you have to put that thing in a lead coffin before bed if you don't want it to transmit anything. Railroad and car tracking tech, airport tracking, airport iris scanners, body scanners, bag RFID tracking, height profiling, facial recognition, fingerprint scanning, screen and walk concealed device detection, beacons. Look, they track UFOs. What type of technology do you need to do that? I haven't even mentioned the satellite tracking technology yet. You know, when it comes to microchipping or radio frequency identification, remember, I said the best way to get someone to do something is to make them want to do it. Well, I want to share an article with you. The headline reads, "Surveillance used to be a bad thing. Now, we happily let our employers spy on us." When reading through this article, there was something that caught my eye. There was a caption beneath the photo of a man, as you can see, is happily being injected with an RFID chip. And the caption reads, "By generating an endless flow of data about our bodies, we feed our narcissistic urge to explore the most fascinating thing in our lives, ourself." How many of you agree with that statement? So it says here, radio frequency identification, RFID, is now being used by companies to follow their employees around the building, recording who they interact with and registering if they spend too much time lingering in toilets. And I know you're thinking, oh, give me a break. Really? Here's what's interesting. It reads, "Bio-tracking technology allows bosses to record the number of steps an employee takes in a day, their heart rate, and what they eat and drink, how much sleep they get, and even their hormone levels. Neural technologies such as increasingly cheap EEG scanners enables overly inquisitive firms to monitor the activity in their employees' brains. Now companies are literally getting under their employees' skin. Last month, a small Wisconsin-based vending machines company called Three Square Market shot to global prominence when it offered employees the opportunity to implant a small device about the size of a grain of rice under their skin. This RFID-enabled device allowed its proud new owners to do things such as log into their computer, open doors, and purchase food in the office cafeteria with a flick of the wrist. Nearly half of the company's 85 workers had the device implanted when the firm held a chip party. Everyone, think of it like this. The same concept that is being used to get people to post personal photos and videos in exchange for likes and followers is the same concept used to get people to chip themselves voluntarily. But see, here's the thing. It's stupid to think you can chip everybody. That's just not going to work. Even if you try to do it by force, there are people with guns. So while people are getting chipped, you still need something that is efficiently administered to the public. You need a better technology, and that technology is probably something non-invasive and wireless. You know, everyone has their own unique bioelectric signature. We generate sort of a electromagnetic field around us, an aura, if you will. When they have that data on that signature, they can use frequencies to find you. They don't need satellites to do it either. Frequencies can be used to harm the body, and they can be used to heal the body. Now, if you believe in biblical prophecy, the mark of the beast, I want to point out a few things to you all. Now, I'm not a Bible expert, I have read through the book of Revelation several times. And I was thinking, what if this thing with the mark of the beast, what if, just follow me here for a moment, what if it already happened? Let me show you something. If you go to Revelation chapter 12, Revelation chapter 13 is where the mark of the beast comes in. But if you look at Revelation chapter 12, let me just use the New International Version, for example. You can read it in several different versions if you'd like. It's called The Woman and the Dragon, or The Woman, the Child, and the Dragon. Now, without even reading it, who do you suppose this is referring to? Well, let me just read to you verses 13 through 17. When the dragon saw that he had been hurled to the earth, I believe that occurred in the beginning sometime, right? He pursued the woman who had given birth to the male child. The woman was given the 2 wings of a great eagle, so that she might fly to the place prepared for her in the wilderness, where she would be taken care of for a time, times and half a time, out of the serpent's reach. Then from his mouth the serpent spewed water like a river, to overtake the woman and sweep her away with the torrent. But the earth helped the woman by opening its mouth and swallowing the river that the dragon had spewed out of his mouth. Then the dragon was enraged at the woman and went off to wage war against the rest of her offspring, those who keep God's commands and hold fast their testimony about Jesus. Now, who could this be describing? Is this referring to Eve and the serpent? Remember, this is a vision John had, and the vision is telling him a story without words, okay? Now, if you go to Revelation chapter 13, verses 1 through 4, it says, "The dragon stood on the shore of the sea, and I saw a beast coming out of the sea. It had 10 horns and 7 heads with 10 crowns on its horns, and on each head a blasphemous name. The beast I saw resembled a leopard, but had feet like those of a bear, and a mouth like that of a lion. The dragon gave the beast his power, and his throne and great authority. One of the heads of the beast seemed to have a fatal wound, but the fatal wound had been healed. The whole world was filled with wonder and followed the beast. People worshiped the dragon because he had given authority to the beast. And they also worshiped the beast and asked, 'Who is like the beast? Who can wage war against it?'" Now, how many of you think that this sounds like Pharaoh? See, once you get to verses 11 through 18, the timeline gets a bit confusing, but there are 2 things that occur, and I want to point that out. Verse 13, "And it performed great signs, even causing fire to come down from heaven to earth in full view of the people." And verse 14, "Because of the signs it was given power to perform on behalf of the first beast. It deceived the inhabitants of the earth. It ordered them to set up an image in honor of the beast who was wounded by the sword and yet lived." Now, folks, in what past event do we have fire coming down from heaven and people setting up a false image? It's not a hard trivia question to answer. In fact, the very next couple of chapters pretty much says it all. It talks about the 144,000, right? Sealed from the tribes of the sons of Israel. Could they have been of the Hebrews who were enslaved by Pharaoh? It talks about trampling the winepress and blood flowing out. You mean like the water turning into blood like in Egypt? Then in Revelation 15, it talks about 7 angels and 7 plagues. Now, where has that happened before? The first few verses reads, "I saw in heaven another great and marvelous sign, 7 angels with the 7 last plagues last, because with them God's wrath is completed. And I saw that looked like a sea of glass glowing with fire, and standing beside the sea, those who had been victorious over the beast and its image and over the number of its name. They held harps given them by God, and sang the song of God's servant Moses and of the Lamb. So is John describing the scene after the Red Sea had closed up over Pharaoh and the people who made it across started celebrating? Oh, I'm going to be very interested in hearing everyone's opinion on this. Let me know what your thoughts are. Do you think these 4 chapters, 12, 13, 14, 15, are they describing events that already took place? And if they are, what does that say about the 7 bowls? Because those books do specifically refer to Babylon the Great, which existed already. What does that say about the seals and the trumpets? What does that say about the 4 angels bound to the river Euphrates, which is right around that area? Is the book of Revelation a story of the past laid out to give us clues about our future? Think about this. When this whole thing between Moses and Pharaoh occurred, do you think Pharaoh would place buying or selling restrictions on people who did not worship the gods of Egypt? Did the Hebrews and others have to bear the mark of the beast in the form of offerings in order to buy and sell back then, or earn credits? I did a video recently on the Egyptian Book of the Dead. I recommend you all check that out. How many Hebrews were led out of Egypt, by the way? Some say 5,000, some say around 20,000, some say 140,000, some say around 600,000. I just thought that was also interesting. But here's the thing. Even if the age of the mark of the beast occurred back in Egypt, does this mean we may be facing a repeat of history and we still need to watch out for something similar? I think so, because the whole point of the mark is worshiping a false god. I thought this would be a short, interesting presentation for you all, some things to think about and consider, especially when it comes to technology and what we are capable of in reality. Truth is stranger than fiction, remember that. And the tech they have in private, I am sure, would seem magical to us. Have a fun and safe day, everyone. Woodward TV will return shortly with more madness. Until next time, stay awake, stay aware, stay safe, and I'll talk to you all soon.